This time I would like to explain about terms of delivery. When goods are sent from seller to a buyer, each party has to know exactly which of the cost and risk of transportation he has to bear. In order to avoid disagreements, the sales contract usually stipulates one of the 13 terms of delivery drawn up by the Chamber of Commerce. These are known as Incoterms or International Commercial Terms. They determine which party is to bear the various costs involved in transportation and the point at which the risks are to pass from the seller to the buyer, known as passing of risk. XW or X works. This Incoterm represents the maximum obligation for the buyer. The seller has the goods ready for collection at his factory, and the buyer has to cover all costs and bear all risks until they reach his warehouse. It can be used for all forms of transport. Incoterms for shipping. When the goods are to be sent by ship, the following costs have to be paid. First, the cost of transporting the goods from the seller's factory or warehouse to the port of shipment, from which they are to be shipped abroad. 2. The cost of loading the goods onto the ship at the port of shipment. 3. Freight cost. The charge made for carrying the goods on the ship. 4. The insurance cost. The insurance cost incurred while the goods are being transported. 5. The cost of unloading the goods when the ship reaches the port of destination in the importing country. 6. The cost of transporting the goods from the port of destination to the buyer's warehouse. FAS, free alongside ship. The seller pays the transportation of the goods to the port of shipment. The buyer pays for everything else: loading, freight, insurance, unloading, and transportation from the port of destination to his warehouse. The passing of risk occurs when the goods have been delivered to the quay of the port of shipment. To the quay at the port of shipment. If OB, free on board. The seller pays for the transportation of the goods to the port of shipment and the loading cost. The buyer pays for everything else: freight, insurance, unloading, and transportation from the port of destination to his warehouse. The passing of risk occurs when the goods have passed the ship's rail at the port of shipment. CPR, cost and freight. The seller pays for the transportation of the goods to the port of shipment, loading cost and freight. That means the buyer pays for insurance, unloading, and for the goods to be transported from the port of destination to his warehouse. The passing of risk is the same as for FOB. When the goods pass the ship's rail at the port of shipment.